Schools often shape our understanding of history, teaching us that Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas and painting him as a hero. But this narrative overlooks the rich history of the Americas, which have been home to diverse civilizations for thousands of years, with indigenous peoples living here for centuries. In this video, we'll explore the true history of America and uncover the tragic fate of over 100 million indigenous people. However, before the Europeans, the Americas had many Native American cultures and languages. They migrated from Asia to America across a land bridge that connected the two continents during the last ice age. They adapted to different environments, from the Arctic to the Amazon, and developed various ways of life, from hunting and gathering to farming and trading. They also created complex societies, some of which built large urban centers, monumental architecture, and sophisticated systems of writing, mathematics, astronomy, and religion. Some of the most notable civilizations in the Americas before the Europeans arrived were the Maya, the Aztec, the Inca, the Anasazi, the Mississippian, the Iroquois, and the Cahokia. As a result, we have all heard or seen in the movies the brutality and barbarism of the Native Americans. They are portrayed as barbaric people who hide on the top of the mountains so they can attack the poor white Americans, kill them, and tear their guts. But the truth is that American culture has been working on putting them in that image in order to take away and blur their true image. The Native Americans had their land and their resources stolen, and before that, their souls. This is just an attempt to bury an awful crime, whose victim is 112 million humans. They were wiped out through one of the worst genocides in human history, in 150 years. The civilization, evolution, and democracy that America shows us today was built on the bodies of the Native Americans. And the unfortunate thing is that this genocide was just collateral damage to spread civilization. But the true story of the Native Americans and the fact that they were called the Red Indians is a secret that not everyone knows about. Next, we will give you some facts that you might not know about after Columbus reached them. Christopher Columbus arrived in 1492 in their land. And when the Spanish came, they found 50 tribes, who spoke different languages. After 3 years of discovering the New World, Columbus led a military campaign against the indigenous people in Haiti with a small number of knights, 200 soldiers, and some trained dogs, in order to ship more than 500 Native Americans to Spain, where they were sold as slaves in Seville. The European colonizer realized that they were in front of a land of dreams, full of resources that they could use to build their future civilization. And its people were simple, who did not know fighting or conflict. So they became the agents of extermination and genocide, without any control. They used their weapons and killed anyone they met, children, women, elders. And they poisoned wells and committed the worst massacres against the natives. And when the leaders of the tribes realized what was happening to their people, they asked for a peace treaty with the Spanish. So the Spanish accepted the treaty on condition that they leave some places so that they could exploit them through the people who were abducted to work in them. Then, after these treaties, they offered the natives blankets and covers. But what the poor people did not know, and you really cannot imagine, is that these covers were transported from European clinics full of bacteria, plague, cholera, and tuberculosis epidemics. They did this on purpose to kill them without any effort from the Europeans. This is what is called biological warfare, which killed almost 80% of them. There are some historical records that suggest that some European colonizers offered rewards for the scalps or heads of the Native Americans during the colonial era. This practice was known as scalping or headhunting, and it was used as a way to terrorize, exterminate, or enslave the Native Americans who resisted the European invasion and expansion. The first indigenous people who Columbus met were the Taino people, who numbered almost 4 million and whose civilization spanned the Bahamas and the Greater Antilles. However, 70% of that tribe died in the next 30 years because of the diseases brought by the Europeans. Some of these people also committed suicide to escape from the violence and hard work imposed on them by the colonizers. Eventually, one of the leaders of the tribes, called Enriquillo, succeeded in leading a rebellion and fleeing to the mountains. He led a rebellion against the Spaniards between 1519 and 1533, after his wife was raped by a Spanish officer. He and his followers retreated to the mountain range of Bajuruco, where they resisted the Spanish attacks for more than a decade. Enriquillo eventually negotiated a peace treaty with the Spaniards, which granted him and his people freedom and land rights. They also agreed to give Enriquillo and his people an island where they could live in peace. In 1876, the Sioux tribe, led by Chief Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, won the last major victory against the U.S. Army at the Battle of Little Bighorn, also known as Custer's Last Stand. They fight bravely to defend their lands and their way of life from the U.S. government, which wants to force them to live on reservations and assimilate to the white culture. However, because of the epidemic spread of alcohol, wars, and the tribal conflicts that the colonizers bring, all the fighters are weakened. The U.S. Army continues to pursue and attack them until they surrender or die. In 1890, another Native American resistance arose because of the religious movement called the Ghost Dance, which aimed to bring back the spiritual and physical power to its people. The U.S. authorities saw it as a rebellion, and that's why they wanted to arrest the great leader for his support to the movement. The U.S. authorities confronted the Native American resistance with hostility and succeeded in ending it forever at the massacre of Wounded Knee. This is the end of our video. We hope you learned something new about the history of America and the genocide of the Native Americans. This is a topic that is often hidden or twisted in the media and education, but we think it is important to know the truth and to respect the indigenous peoples of the Americas. What do you think about this topic? Do you have any questions or comments? If so, please leave them below. We would love to hear from you and talk with you.